Hi there, my name's Éilís. I'm an artist and bookbinder. I live in County Clare and I have a bookbinding business called Folded Leaf. So what I do is I make one-of-a-kind or limited edition books with other artists, for writers or for book lovers, and also for myself. So the books that I make are a little bit different from your typical adult book because they don't tend to have much text or writing in them, but they have lots of pictures and they fold out and open up in unusual ways. So they're called artist books and they are like a work of art in book form. So a little bit like you see a painting on a wall, except it's in a book that you can touch, you can open and you can look at and interact with. And I'll show you some of my books now. So here's one of my artist books called Take Care of the Rounds. This book is filled with old postcards of trains that I found in a second-hand shop when I was on holidays. And what I did was I drew into and made collages onto the postcards and made it into this fun little book that folds out. The type of book, this is called an accordion book. Can you guess why? So I use lots of different tools as a bookbinder, but here is one of my favourite ones. It's called a nipping press. So it has lots of different uses, but the main one is when I want to glue a book together. And I'm just going to show you how to do that now. So when I have my book cover made, so it's called a case, it's empty, and then I have my book, I put glue on my book and glue the whole thing together. But if I just left it to dry, it wouldn't really stick because it needs to be stuck really firmly, and this is where the press comes into action. So what I do is I make a little book sandwich. I use a board, put the book on top, another board on top of that, and then I put it into my press. Then I twist the handle the whole way down and press it tight. And then I leave my book in there for about 10 minutes till it's squished really well and the glue really sticks. Then I can take it out and my book will be stuck firmly. I usually leave them overnight with weights on top, just so it dries totally flat. So today we're going to make a book called a star book. This is a beautiful book which is really 3D, and it can also be turned into a Christmas decoration. So you can use this book to write in, to draw in, or anything else that you want. And it's made from really simple materials that can be found around the house, and I'm going to show you now the materials and how to make it. So to make your star book, you need a few simple materials, and you should have most of these around your house, and you could even find them in your recycling bin perhaps. So you need a scissors, you need a glue stick, and any type of glue stick will do. You need a pencil. Then you need some scrap newspaper. So I cut this newspaper down into smaller bits, and you can do that as you go along. This is just for when you're gluing so that the glue doesn't get on your book. Then for your book pages, you need 5 sheets of A4 paper. So I chose very colourful paper here, but you could choose white paper either if you want. And white paper would look really nice for this because it's also going to be a Christmas star, which could possibly be white. Then last, you need a piece of card. So you might be able to find card in your recycling bin. So it could be from an old cereal box, for instance. Okay, so that's a scissors, glue stick, pencil, some scrap newspaper, 1 sheet of card, and 5 pieces of A4 paper. So the first step of your book is we are going to get our pieces of paper and we are going to cut them so that they're square. Okay, so most sheets of paper you get will be rectangle, but we're looking to make them square. So what you do is, and there's lots of different ways you could do this, so you might have a better idea than me, but how I do this is I take one corner of your paper and I fold it down to the other side, and I'm very careful that I fold it directly on top of the other side, so making sure that they line up perfectly. So once I'm happy that they're all lined up, I'll press the diagonal piece down. Okay, so just to show you that again, so you have your flat piece of rectangle paper. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one corner and fold it up to the other edge, making sure that it lines up really well with this corner or this edge, and then I'm going to press it down. Well, what we're left with is kind of a flap. So what you do then is you get your pencil. We're going to draw a line down where this triangle flap is sitting on top of the other piece of paper underneath. Okay, so I'm using the edge of the paper as a rule, and I'm drawing a line the whole way down the sheet of paper. So look what I get. Can you see my line there? And you'll see that I'm left with a square. So then you get your scissors and you cut down the line. And you can try and cut as carefully as you can along the line, but it doesn't matter if it gets a little bit jaggedy. That's all part of the character of the book. Okay, so we don't actually need this piece, so you could put it aside to use it for another project. All we need is our lovely square. So you should now have 5 pieces of paper that are all square and that have a line along the diagonal. So what we're going to do now is we're going to fold our pieces of paper into our book pages. So the first thing you do is you flip over your piece of paper. So now our fold is like a little mountain in the middle of our paper. So we are going to fold our page in half. So coming from one side and folding over to the other side. So again, I'm going to make sure that my corners are sitting on top of each other and matching up, and then I'm going to press it and fold. Then we're going to turn it sidewards and we're going to fold it in half again. So I'm going to take one side and bring it over to the other, make sure my corners are sitting on top of each other, and then I'm going to fold. So what we're left with is a piece of paper folded 1, 2, and 3 times. So what we're going to do now is we are going to push the corner that has the diagonal line in together. Okay, so I'm going to put one thumb on one side, finger and thumb on the other side, and I'm going to push them together so that they meet up. Okay, then I'm going to press them down to the table and push the top down. Okay, so what we get is this smaller square which has like a little bird's beak in the middle that opens up. Okay, so I'll show that again. So you have your square, you find your diagonal line, and we're going to make the 2 corners of the diagonal line meet. So I'm going to push them in together, making the little beaks meet, and then fold it down on the table. Okay, so what you get is a kind of bird's beak on one side, and then it's all closed up on the other side. And we're going to do that for all 5 pages. So now you should have your 5 pieces of paper all folded up, and you can always pause the video if you need a little bit more time to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to start gluing them all together. So I'm going to get my first 2, I'm going to get my glue stick and my pieces of scrap paper for gluing on. I'm going to be lining up my pages all the same way just for this book. So what I mean by that is, do you see this kind of bird beak? I'm always going to be gluing the bird beaks to the bird beak sides. Okay, so here's my bird beak here and my bird beak here, and we're going to be gluing it here. So I'm not going to be twisting these around and gluing them on in a different way, just for this book. So I get my glue sheet and I'm going to put it into my book like that. Then with my glue stick, I'm going to glue on glue, starting from the center and going out to the edges like a starburst. Once I have enough glue on, you can take away your glue sheet and get rid of it. Then I'm going to get my second piece of paper and I'm going to line up my bird beak with my bird beak. And press them down together. So you'll have to rub a little bit here just so they glue properly together. And you'll find, ooh, it's stuck together. Now I'm going to glue on the rest of my pages. So I got my glue sheet, just the same thing again. Put it inside your book to protect the pages underneath. Put our glue on. Get rid of our glue sheet, and then I get my next piece of paper, and again I'm lining up the bird beak side with the bird beak side. So I press it down all together, push it down, and there is my third. So you can see it's a very sculptural book. Okay. And you need to do that for the rest of your sheets, just gluing them on together. So you should have glued all your 5 pieces of paper together now, and you'll see that we're left with something really sculptural. So what you need to decide now is whether you want to make a Christmas decoration or a book. And you can always do both because you can make more after this video. So if you want this to be a Christmas decoration, what you need to do is you need to put glue on one end of your book, just like we did before, and glue the other end to it, like so. So what you end up with is a beautiful Christmas star, which you can punch a hole into and thread and hang from your ceiling for Christmas. But if you want to make a book, I'm going to show you how to do that now. Okay, so if you want to make yours into a book, what you need is your piece of card, glue, scissors, pencil, and your book. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to use this card for covers for the front and for the back of your book. And how we're going to measure the covers is we're going to get our pages and sit them onto the card. So do you see I'm kind of lining it up with the edge of the card with the edge of the book. Then I'm going to get my pencil and draw around the book. So I'm just doing a light enough line and using the edges of the book to guide my pencil. And here is one of our covers. So you'll need to cut out your cover. So we're just going to use the guide, our pencil mark that we just drew, and our scissors to cut our first cover for our book. And here we have it, one cover. So I'm going to do the other side now. So I'm just going to line my book up with the edge of the card and the edge of the card here. So they're lined up. So I just have two sides to draw a pencil mark on. And I'm using the edge of my book as a guide. So I get another little square there to cut out. Great. So we're left with our two covers and our book, and all we have to do now is glue them on. So to glue them on, we're just going to do the same as we did before for the pages of our book. We're going to get a scrap piece of paper, put it into the first page of our book, and then we're going to glue the page. So I'm kind of gluing from the middle out like a starburst. Once I have enough glue on, get rid of my scrap paper, and now I'm going to line up my cover. So just by eye, making sure no side is poking out. Once I'm happy with that, I press it on. And there is our cover. So for the other side, we just do the exact same. We get a glue sheet, put it into the first page, put glue on the page, now get rid of our glue sheet, and now we're going to stick our second cover on. So we're just going to line it up carefully, making sure no side is sticking out, and press it on. And what we're left with is a lovely book with a hard cover. So I hope you enjoyed making your star book. There's lots of variations of this book. For our one, we made sure to glue all the bird beaks on the same side. That was because I wanted you to make a star shape. But if you glue them in different ways, you'll end up with a very, very different book, and one just as beautiful. Also, the cover on this book actually really helps to make it into a Christmas decoration because it makes it way, way stronger, especially if you're putting a hole in here to hang it from the ceiling. So I hope you enjoyed the workshop, and I hope you create lots more books and fill them with magical stories. Thanks very much.